Akasan's Honest Review. This is Akasan. So, The Flash. It's over. Season 2. Another successful season. All said and done. But what exactly happened? What do we need to cover here? What do we need to recap? Well, just like I did last year, I can't do it alone. I need some help here. I need someone that's gonna help me put some oomph in it, some style in it, some swag.
Let me start it off first thing, ain't shoot like this. How to see you city, bet they ain't like this. I'm the man, Instagram, take a pic like this. Solo away, while I whip it like this.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming from the SwagFoulNation, we have Tochi. What's up, man?
What is up, man? Thanks for having me, dude.
Hey, a pleasure. Thank you for being on the channel here. I appreciate that.
I know, yeah. I've been watching your reactions. You see mine.
Yes.
We're finally merging together to talk about it.
It's not, and this time it's not. It's kind of funny because last year I did the whole multiverse sort of theory with J-Roar, very comic sort of style. You know, we brothers from another reactor mother. But in this case, I would kind of consider this kind of being like a multiverse, more like Earth 1, Earth 2 type feeling. Like many things are the same, but there are a few differences in what we sort of do or so. Though, how long have you been reacting for?
I've actually been reacting since last year, but I can probably say I've been reacting for like maybe 2 years, because before I actually had this channel, I was actually doing like anime videos, doing reactions to anime and stuff like that.
That's where the Tochi came from.
Yeah, Tochi, yeah. So that's where I started mostly with my reactions, but I actually ran into and saw Gator's channel, and I was just like, let me broaden my horizon. Let me see what else I can actually check out. So that's when I actually started doing that for TV shows. I actually started, I think, last year with Game of Thrones. That's when I actually started doing reactions. And everything with like Over, and you guys know how it is.
That's how it goes. Which one do you think? Would you say it's more challenging doing the TV shows compared to other stuff?
I would say so, because like for the other stuff, it's like maybe like 5-10 minutes, and then like for maybe anime, the longest I've gone is like maybe 20 minutes. But when you have to actually sit there the whole time, but you're still trying to listen to the dialogue in the show and how things connect here and there, I think that'd be even more difficult, because like other videos are just like, you know, one and done. And unless it's a series, but other than that, like the TV shows, you have to stay focused as well, trying to give commentary. So you know how it is. Yeah.
No, I definitely know how that is on that situation. I like doing the TV shows. I actually prefer reacting to TV shows and movie trailers more than anything else. I think more or less because you're personally invested in the show a lot more, opposed to the other stuff that we'll react to. We don't really know what we're going to get, and sometimes we don't really know what a good response may be. And I think that's the beauty there is with television. I feel like you're connected for the shows. And when my reaction might not be the same as somebody else's reaction, but toward the beginning of the season to the end, we kind of come full circle, and we sort of, it's kind of like this like real high five moment of just like, all right guys, we had a great season, awesome. Now let's start the predictions, and I'll see you again next year, so to speak. It was
exactly, yeah. Like see how everyone stands in like, you know, the series, how they felt about it.
Yeah.
And just getting a whole bunch of other perspectives on how things are gonna turn out the next season, how things are gonna perspire. I think that's actually like a very good aspect of like, you know, doing the TV shows, because like a lot of, I feel like people are more invested in the TV shows, especially with characters like Flash and characters they love from like comics and stuff like that. It's interesting because they don't take it exactly from the comics. They're not like doing an exact comic, like they're taking elements from here and there. So you never actually know what you're gonna fully get. You know, it's always still a big surprise. You know,
and I think
it's not really new material.
No, you're absolutely right, and I think that's actually one of the biggest beauties about the Flash show is that you know that they are taking elements from the comic. However, there's other things that they're doing that really interest people as well. So I like this idea that we're seeing things, especially a lot of Jeff Johns' writing. Do you have extensive knowledge of the Flash comic at all?
It's very minimal. I haven't really went too far deep into the comics. I'm actually kind of a newbie, a new perspective. I've actually started to get into comics. I know they're doing the whole like DC Rebirth and stuff like that.
Yes.
So I've started checking that out, but my knowledge of the comics is very minimal. I just know things here and there from hearing from secondhand.
But I think that's the best thing. No, I think that's actually the beauty of the Flash. Because honestly, and I'm admitting this, like I never saw so much of an appeal for the Flash for the comic. I liked some of the animated features, but when they first were deciding to make a Flash show, I was like, maybe I'd give it a shot. I don't know. It doesn't seem that interesting to me. I still remember telling my friend about this. I was like, well, I like Arrow because I like Arrow. At that time, I liked Arrow because I liked what it was with Batman, like very similar to Batman. However, when they were thinking about doing a Flash show, I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll check it out. But how funny how times have changed.
How opinions have changed things, right? And now, like you're now watching Flash more than Arrow, and enjoy that one more.
It's crazy. Flash is now the sort of flagship show of this entire Dare to Defy on the CW. So
yeah, it's one of their biggest shows now.
It really is. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the Flash recap here. So we're just gonna, for those of you following along at home, we're gonna just kind of go through the main plot points here of the show. We started off, which I thought was very clever, in the end of the 22nd episode into the 23rd episode, just picking up right where we left off with this transition. It was great. This silenced sort of a scream from Barry. Like he was the only one you could hear. You couldn't even hear his voice and such. And then you see the death of his father, and you actually see it gone throughout. I mean, that was heartbreaking. Not as much as last season, but I like what they were doing in the sense that what I wanted to see in episode 22, like kind of like this slow motion or like a moment in time of despair. They started off with episode 23 there, and I thought that moment was really good to see. So, it would play off later into the rest of the episode, showing just how broken Barry was. So. Yeah, I like that point. And then we just moved on into the morning, like the funeral scene and such. And I thought that was interesting. For me, when I hear Nora Allen, I always think of Nora Freeze from Batman.
From Gotham, yeah.
Yeah, I always think about that. But I like that fact. I like the fact that they showed Barry. He couldn't really handle it at that moment in time.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, it was great. Wells showed up, but he had to wear the glasses so nobody would recognize him. So
I know, right?
I thought that was interesting. And then, through all that being said, I thought they handled this pretty well. But with Wally confronting Barry, I thought they could have gone two different ways, in the sense of Wally would kind of be pissed off that everybody's kind of been hiding a big ass secret from him. He's like, yo, I'm family, or I thought it was family, but you guys aren't really including me in any of this sort of stuff.
Kind of cause a rift in the relationship that Joe was building with his son.
Exactly. But
that's what I thought they were gonna go with too.
That would have been very Oliver Queen, Arrow type storyline. So I'm kind of glad they didn't go that direction. But we did see Barry and Wally sort of have this, do you ever need anything, just let me know type of thing.
Some foreshadowing there.
That's exactly, I thought the same thing. I thought there was going to be some foreshadowing in the future that maybe there's going to be a point where Barry comes back and he doesn't have powers, but Wally does. That's
what I was just thinking, because, and plus that, I was just like, so Wally, he's setting up some good foundation with Barry.
Right.
And I don't know how it's gonna be because like now that he's changed everything from the past.
Right.
Like how is it gonna transition? Like maybe, just maybe, this is what I was thinking. Since like he saved his mother and so his father doesn't get accused and like his parents are still there. Maybe there's gonna be like a little bit of a shift. And then Joe's family would still be together, and then it would be Iris, Wally. That whole family would still be together. That's what I was thinking as well.
That would be that'd be very interesting to see. Or there's going to be there's another idea that Joe could actually become bad. Or Wally, Joe's family doesn't break up, but in some form or fashion, Wally actually becomes a little more criminal, but still has the Speed Force in him. So there's
That'd
many ways, right? There's many ways. So we'll see. And so, which was kind of a gangster move, but Zoom, which for the guy who plays Jay, Hunter Zolomon, all of that, I like. To his credit, I think he plays a really nice, good psychotic. Yeah, he shows really good psychotic behavior in the fact that he shows up at the funeral and at the morning dinner, and his lines come off kind of like corny sometimes, like but at the same time,
but it's not overdone, like it's not too over the top.
Well, at the same time, you got to remember he's actually psychotic, so sometimes his lines aren't going to sound so natural. They're going to sound kind of like uneasy, and I like that fact that he was like, I thought I'd give you time to mourn, now let's race. It's like, okay, wait a second.
Like, what do you like? Wait, hold up, man. We just got off of this. Where did the racing come from?
Right. I thought that was funny, but what I thought was a good call about this is we finally figured out what Zoom's entire plan was, which was really weird because it kind of came late in the game for this season. With Reverse Flash and other villains, you tend to hear what their plan is 3 or 4 episodes before the season finale. This one just kind of got sort of thrown in, even though we saw...
Yeah, it felt kind of pushed in there a little bit.
Right? But for any comic fan... you'll instantly recognize that the what were they calling that thing? The Minotaur, I believe. Or the
Magnetar?
The Magnetar, thank you. The Magnetar is very, very similar to the weapon that was used against, I believe, the Anti-Monitor in Final Crisis. And it was just, it's very similar type of thing. And all the worlds, I believe there was 23 worlds at the time. All the worlds kind of the multiverses, all the universes kind of explode or implode, and there's only one left and such. So there was a huge call to that sort of storyline going on.
Because I believe the Zoom kind of alluded to their Earth as like the prime Earth.
Yes.
Their Earth is like the anchor for like the rest of the universes that they can access.
Yes, and which usually it usually is, which does get kind of convoluted if you start following DC Comics, because there is an Earth Prime, which Superboy was part of, but whatever. The main point is...
Yeah, like we'll try not to get too...
Yeah, that Earth is the main Earth, and I did like that particular plan to kind of work into it. I did also like the fact the time shifting here are the time remnants. What do you... Like, I know a lot of people are kind of mixed on this using time remnants as sort of, not as a plot point, but as just a point of action or to kind of help drive the story. Some people don't like the time remnant situation, going back in time and bringing someone in order to you can kill them but not kill yourself.
I was kind of conflicted on that. So the basis of the time run is that you jump back in time like moments. Is that what they're doing?
Yes.
Okay, so and then the one that didn't jump back in time is the one that sacrifices themselves.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay, yeah. I found that very weird, especially like why did like Zoom make a time remnant just to come and kill himself? Like, was that just to prove a point to Barry?
Something, right? It was something like, for example, if you remember, I believe it was in, God, was it season 1 or season 2? I think it was season 2, I think. No, season 1, where there was the huge tsunami and Barry ran through time. That was the first time he ever ran through time accidentally, and he saw that was his time remnant as well, because he ended up back in the same spot as before. That essentially we aren't seeing a long, drawn-out version of that anymore. We're just assuming that's what they're doing while they're running really fast. They're just kind of like, oh, I pulled someone out really quick.
Right, exactly.
It gets a little frustrating when you really try to think about it, because in theory, if you kill somebody, if you kill one of your past people, wouldn't you die as well? But not
exactly.
But they tried to do their best explaining that with the origin story for Reverse Flash. There was the time remnant of the Reverse Flash. And by pulling the Reverse Flash out of that zone, you keep him alive, and that's how he learned Barry's name. So it's like,
it's so weird, but that's what keeps you interested and invested in the show.
Agree.
You know, you're trying to figure out things.
Very similar to Sliders. Well, moving on. So this was a kind of a controversial decision, but it was Team Flash decides they have their own plan without the Flash. Like, I get it, but at the same time, I was like, damn, that's fucked up. But I think that shows if you wanted to compare it to, for example, Arrow, at some point in time, it was always about what Oliver wanted. But Oliver was very hypocritical of himself at times. He would tell everybody what's good for the team, but go off and do the exact opposite. I think what we're seeing here with Team Flash is the fact that they care so much about Barry that they're going to take matters out of his own hands, and they don't want to see him fail, basically. So I kind of like that part. Because even Team Flash was a bit conflicted. Iris didn't look like she was 100% with this plan right now.
She was just kind of like...
Yeah, like, I don't know.
I'll be back later, honey.
I was kind of 60-40 here.
Yeah, that found out. So, just, I don't know, like Cisco has a way of, like, even though the situation is tense, he can still make something comical. It can still fit in the situation. Like, it won't be like, oh, like, you shouldn't have said that. Like, it doesn't take me away from it. It just kind of, like, lightens the mood a little bit.
He's gotten better. At first, I wasn't a big fan of his jokes and shit. Like, I was just like, okay, these are getting kind of corny. But something along the lines of this later half of the season, the writing has really worked really well for him.
It really has.
I think it's like, now it's getting like, may the Speed Force be with you, and like, what one multiverse to rule them all, or something like one world to no, I forgot what he said now. One something to rule them all, but he was making a Lord of the Rings sort of joke. So
it's funny how many connections they make, like Star Wars, Harry Potter, when they're trying to get Barry's powers back. I was just like, bro, like, you're Expecto Patronum really right now?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty clever, and I think it helps keep the Flash humor, or keep the feeling of the Flash going strong in very dark times. I feel like this show wasn't as dark as last season. I feel maybe it wasn't as personal, because I just always felt like the Reverse Flash was a really good villain because it was so personal, where Zoom was just kind of psychotic. But I think it worked well.
It's a nice little shift in, like, the type of villain that Barry had to deal with, you know?
I agree.
Because, like, Barry felt like he can, like, reason with him. Like, when he was just like, you don't care about how many people he kills. Like, nope. Don't care at all, you know?
That's what was really interesting about that, is the fact that moving on with the Team Flash plan, you know, the plan that they had, it was pretty solid, but even with Zoom, our Hunter Zolomon, with Caitlin coming back, which was some very strange dialogue.
Oh, yeah, that was weird. Like,
right?
They said, like, oh, because when she first came out, he's like, yeah, he just let me go. But then, like, when she met back up with him, when she was in the whole hologram stage, she was just like, yeah, like, Zoom was like, yeah, you shouldn't have left me. I told you what would happen if you left me. And I thought he let you go. What's going on here, you know?
Well, no, I mean, he did inadvertently, like, he gave her the option, basically. And he said, you can bounce if you want, but if you come back, you know. So I got that part. What I was kind of saying was just her delivery. Look,
yeah,
her delivery almost looked like, yo, are you trying to tell him this is a setup? Because it kind of like, are you about to start winking at Zoom or so? Because
it's like, I'm the only one here.
Yeah, right,
you know?
right.
Totally came here by myself.
What I did like about that, because with the Zoom characters, that it actually helped. Like, he was like, okay, yeah, but it's too late. I'm about to kill your ass.
I know, right? I was just like, he was really about to just kill her right there. She would have been done.
I thought that was great, and it helped. It helped solidify what was going on here. Then we finally get the reveal, which something we all knew basically, but it was finally done officially. Was the fact that the man in the Iron Mask was indeed Jay Garrick. We didn't know who was playing Jay Garrick, but we knew that was the dude there. So
even like the last couple episodes, like especially it all started when Barry's dad was just like, yeah, I think I'm gonna stay in the city. I'm gonna stay around with you. I was just like, what's gonna happen? That made me twitch a little bit,
Yes.
And then when things go here and there, and then like when Barry had like that bad dialogue, or like that dialogue with his father, where he's like, yeah, you've never been here to even know what I'm going through and stuff like that. I personally thought that Barry would have just left that situation, and then like his dad would die with him without things going.
That would have been rough. Yeah.
That would have been very interesting, Like, he already feels bad that his dad already died, but if he had, like, if things ended off in a bad moment with them, that would have been even worse.
That would have been great, actually. That what? That would have been really goddamn good, because it would have given Peter Parker great power, responsibility. Like Peter Parker left Ben, his uncle, having a fight. Basically, they were mad at each other at that moment in time, or Peter was mad at him. So that would have that's pretty damn good, Tochi, because I would have gotten behind Barry a lot more
to go back in time and change things.
Because the last moment was he was mad at him. Like, that would have been so great.
That would have been so nice, yeah.
But nevertheless, what do you think of Henry Allen? I guess Henry Allen? No, he's technically not Henry Allen, but I guess Jay Garrett, John Wesley Shipp.
John Wesley Shipp, yeah, we'll go with him.
Being the man in the Iron Mask.
At first, I was just like, because like I was personally for the idea about the man in the Iron Mask be like maybe another version of Barry, or like maybe Hunter Zolomon, but like not really Hunter Zolomon, but the actor playing him.
Yes.
I think it's Teddy Sears is his real name in real life.
Right,
yeah, like him being like the real J.D. Garrett, because like even when they released the mask, they like imagine this, like they're releasing a mask, Wells and Cisco, and as soon as they take the mask off, like they see like Hunter Zolomon again.
Yeah.
Like everyone would just be like, whoa, like even if he is telling the truth and he is like the real good version of Hunter Zolomon,
yes,
then it would still be like be cautious of him. We don't really want to associate with him, and like just his face alone would be a reminder that like this guy killed like my father.
Though I could also say the problem is you would get into the repeat of the Harrison Wells storyline, the Edward Thawne Harrison Wells Earth 2 storyline. It would have kind of gone through the same situation we were going through in the beginning of the season 2 with Barry looking at the face of his killer, his mom's killer and shit. So there's it's kind of I get what you're saying. I'm still kind of disappointed that the Zoom as Henry Allen theory, I was kind of banking on that one a lot more actually. But I guess I'm fine either way with the way it kind of played out. If anything though, I'm glad it's kind of said and done now, so we don't have to keep thinking about this anymore. But
pull a Walking Dead on us and just take the mask off and then cut to black.
Well, it's not just that, but it's like I know for sure the dude that was in the damn cage or in the cell, that couldn't have been John Wesley Shipp the entire season, because that dude was really goddamn skinny, like really skinny.
Yeah, they must have just because like you, but for me, like I was talking to my friend about it the other day, like his when as soon as his dad died. Yeah, I was he was just like, well, I hope the guy in the Iron Mask is Barry's dad now, because I don't want his actor to leave. Like I felt like there's kind of like that notion too. That like maybe they had someone else in mind, but then like people were just like, oh, we can't have him leave because he's like a big thing.
I agree with you. I kind of feel like they might have made this up on the fly a bit. Like midway through the season, I think they kind of were just like, okay, let's make it this person. I think they actually did admit that. I actually, you know what? I'm getting mixed up between The Walking Dead or not. Because I remember one of the producers of these respective shows said that they didn't decide who they were going to kill or who was the man in the Iron Mask at the beginning of the season or something like that. So it's interesting though, but I guess it's all said and done now, and he had his all scraggly beard when he took it off.
That was so funny. I was just like, does he have a beard on? What is that?
I mean, it makes sense.
It does. He's been there for a while.
It does make sense. It'll be interesting to see, and we'll get back to the actual real Jay Garrick a little later here. Moving on to the final battle.
The race. The race of the century.
Black versus red.
The race of his life.
The Scarlet Speedster versus the spawn of Satan. I thought that was actually well done. You know, I think who doesn't get enough credit is Candyman, the dude that does the voice of Zoom. I think he's going to be the unsung hero of really putting the fear into Zoom, because I really thought that when he crouched down and he had his whole deal about run, Barry, run. Like, I was like, oh, let's do
I found that so funny how that quote's like iconic for this show now, like run, Barry, run.
Yes,
that I found that very interesting. But the other thing about like the actor, the Candyman, is that when Zoom had the mask on, you felt that sense of danger, that menacing feeling.
Yes.
But as soon as he took it off, like it's not like anything's bad about it, but I don't feel as intimidated when he doesn't have the mask on, you know?
I agree. I feel like part of it, I feel like part of the story, or I feel a part of Zoom's character sort of took a dive, or the fear was gone after he took his mask off and we found out that it was Jay Garrett, kind of. Jay Garrett at that moment in time. Like, I feel like the Zoom fear was gone, but as you see, Zoom is sort of no more at this point anyway, so it was going to be, I guess it was going to be at this point, it was obvious that this was going to happen. Like, the Zoom character was going to be kind of said and done. Unlike the Reverse Flash, who we can kind of bring back, Zoom, as we know, will not be coming back, and now we have, you know, the Black Racer and such.
Yeah, like, it was interesting that he shifted and changed it into, like, a different speedster in the comic that's all pretty iconic as well. Like, I always thought, like, you know, when I first saw, like, the time rates, I was just like, do they have their own version of, like, a Flash, just in case, like, things don't work out for them? Maybe they have, like, the Black Racer. But it was interesting to see that they actually changed Zoom into, like, Black Racer instead.
Yes. Well, I thought, like, it's kind of interesting, and Tony Todd. Tony Todd is actually the name of Candyman. I wanted to make it. You guys can go out there, check him out on Twitter, Tony Todd 54. I wonder if that has something to do with Studio 54. Sorry, before your time. Yeah. Before my time as well. But there's a movie. If it was 52, that would have been a whole nother thing. But, you know, speaking of the Black Racer sort of idea, I thought it was interesting because from the beginning, if you recall, the first episode of Season 2, when Zoom was showing up, he was much skinnier, actually. And they were going with this Reverse Flash theory, sort of like shaking style. I thought that was pretty cool in itself. That even then there were predictions of Black Racer. Is he going to be the death version of the Flash? You know, the Death Speedster and such. And it's kind of interesting how that's kind of come full circle now in that final scene, showing him getting fried and turning into
like his whole sheet was changing.
Yeah. It's really cool, and you know, a lot of people may not know so much. Like, the moment Barry ripped off his mask, I started thinking, I'm like, oh, it's interesting. He's starting to look like the Time Wraiths, and like he kind of like something's coming up, and then he ended up turning into the Black Racer as we know. The real question is, are they going to use? How are they going to use him? Is he going to be returning season 3, or is the Speed Force, because they're probably pretty damn pissed now at Barry for doing exactly the thing they keep warning him not to do. So are they going to send Zoom, now the Black Racer, after Barry for starting the Flash paradox situation? So there's theories about that as well, but I thought it was done really well. And then especially what I thought was really cool is that they had the nod to Crisis on Infinite Earths, with Barry's time remnant deciding to sacrifice himself and just run straight to his own death. I thought that was done really well.
That was very interesting, because I know, like, have you seen Young Justice?
I knew you were gonna mention that, because I think that's the best reference I think younger fans have is the with it was Kid Flash, right?
Yeah, Kid Flash.
Kid Flash was the one that actually burned right through, and it was very similar to that. So
yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking about too.
Yeah, they have. I mean, that Flash death reference has echoed through many different versions of the Flash stories, but I thought this one was done really damn well. To see, he got fried the fuck up.
Yeah, he got wrecked. He was pretty much done. I was just like, whoa, like just to see him like just screaming and then just disintegrating in the same process. I was like, whoa, that's because it's interesting, because like in throughout like the last couple of episodes, when he found out, ever since we found that Zolomon went back and convinced his time remnant to try to kill himself. Yeah, I was wondering, like, I wonder if they're gonna take like a page out of like Hunter Zolomon's book and try to utilize that into a different notion, instead of like trying to kill himself for bad, like to kill himself and sacrifice himself for the good, you know.
Good point. Is your camera good still? Are we?
Yeah, it started again.
Good. All right, awesome. So in just the final point about that, it was like, you learned my trick quick, or something like that. And then the final fight, what did you think about that? Because I thought it was pretty well done, considering we hadn't seen Zoom and the Flash have too much hand-to-hand combat that often in this series, in this show. So what did you think about that kind of final fight where he did this like kind of like elbow on him?
I found that very funny. Like, I kind of wish like there was more hand-to-hand combat, because ever since that Zoom came in and then just destroyed Barry and dragged him around the town, I was just like,
I remember,
you gotta get him back for that, man. You can't let that stand. But one thing that I actually found interesting is that Barry actually never really beat Zoom in a race. So in a sense, Zoom got what he wanted, because while they're racing on like the whole like thing to charge up the Magnetar, Zoom was always in the lead, and the only reason why they stopped the race is because, you know, Barry made a time run it and went to go save Wells. So maybe you can argue it both ways. Like, maybe that's not what was really on Barry's mind. But if that was what was on his mind, like before the fight, like, you know, Iris is like, yeah, beat him up, you know what I'm saying, basically. So I was assuming like, yeah, maybe he wanted to beat him in a race as well, just to like, you know, prove him that he was wrong. He wasn't actually like, you know, faster than him. But if so, then like Barry actually never really beat Zoom. So Zoom technically was the fastest before being taken off as the Black Racer. What do you think about that?
I guess you can look at it both ways. Is like Barry's, like you said, Barry's intention was never to beat him in a race. It was to just outsmart him or just beat his plan, actually. Because in a sense, beating Zoom would have been letting Zoom win, in a sense, like going faster than Zoom.
Exactly, yeah. But technically, their race was done, because the Magnetar was fully charged up by the time like Zoom jumped and Barry jumped off of it. You know.
Correct. Right. It was fully charged up at the same time, and then you could also say that Zoom actually had a head start from the beginning. So you know, Barry was just chasing Zoom from the beginning, so they could have been matched evenly as well. So there's that situation as well, because you see that even early on, when Barry was chasing Zoom, he was able to trip Zoom actually.
That's true, yeah.
Time remnant, I guess. I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, it's so timey-wimey. It's so jumping around. It's so weird now, yeah.
It's interesting. All right, so I guess we'll get into here now the last parts of this. The whole thing was now we have the real Jay Garrett as Earth 3 Jay
Earth
Garrett,
3,
I
yeah.
guess. Like, it's interesting to see this, and I like the fact that it was still messing with Barry because, like I was mentioning with Eric yesterday, he wins. Barry won. Team Flash seems like they won, but it's also like they lost a lot at the same time. Like everybody lost something.
It wasn't true happy ending.
Right. It wasn't a true happy ending. Everybody kind of lost something close to them. The West family, the mom died. Wally's mom died. Everybody went through a lot of shit this season, except Cisco. Cisco kind of came out all right on this one. Like,
Caitlin with the PTSD.
Yeah, Caitlin had the PTSD. Wells, it's kind of interesting though. I do find that Earth 2 Wells actually became a better man, and I like that point. I actually like the fact when he hugged Barry and he was like, "Look, I'm a better man. I'm a different man than I am now, thanks to you." And he's happier for that. I thought that was great. That point was awesome.
Finally acknowledging Cisco by calling him by his actual name.
Yes, I thought that was pretty cool to see as well. And I know that his Speedy, or not Speedy. The hell's her name? Jamie? No, the daughter. The daughter of Wells.
Oh shoot. Oh no! Now that you actually try to think about it, that's when you forget.
Jesse. Her name was
Jesse.
Jesse. Speedy. But now that like she kind of mentioned that Henry Allen would be happier on Earth 1 instead, but I never thought he was happier. I think he was just
obliged,
determined to get his daughter back, and he did find something out of this.
Purpose,
I still think he had a better life in Earth 2 going on, but it was interesting to see, and I hope that we are going to get little hints of or little involvement of Jay Garrett of Earth 3 and the Earth 2 crew. I hope we can go back to Earth 2 and see more.
It's gonna be weird though, because since Barry affected all time, then it's so weird. Like, it's all that still affects every other universe, doesn't it? Yeah. So.
I don't know. No, it's funny you mention that because I don't know. I don't think the Flash paradox will affect every other world. Because if that's the case, anybody could do that. Things would change all the time. You could have it has to just be one world.
It has to be, yeah.
Because think about it this way, you could have a multiverse, you could have another world where there's Flashes, there's speedsters that are always messing up time.
Exactly.
So it would change things suddenly. So I think it only works with just one world, I guess.
And I also found it kind of funny how Cisco or how Wells is actually implying that Earth 2 was the better Earth because they vibrated at a higher frequency. that was very everybody's like it's different. He's like, no, it's better. No, it's
like better frequency, a
better.
higher frequency, a stronger frequency like that. I thought that was quite interesting. And last one would be let's just talk about Barry's decision. Or they teased the Iris Barry relationship. Are you okay with that? Them not exploring that avenue, relationship?
It made sense to me because if Barry jumped into this relationship the way he is now, I feel like things just wouldn't work out. He has to finally come to terms. Like, the way he was when he came to terms out of the Speed Force would have been the perfect time for them to get together.
I agree.
Now that he's been kind of reverted back to the same state that he was, on top of his mother dying as well, and he, as a kid, you can be like, okay, when he was a kid, he couldn't really do anything about him. But he has the power, he has the ability, he had all this stuff to actually stop Zoom.
Good point. That's a good point.
This slipped out of his hands, you know what I mean?
That's a good point. He has powers of a god now, and he's still his father died on his watch. really badly too, because I feel he got a little too confident, too comfortable, and so he feels like he kind of paid for it. He paid that price. So
that's why you don't party before the villain stops, man. Like everyone having a lunch, I was just like, oh yeah, Zoom's gone for a little bit. Let's just have a little dinner and then party a little. Like no, I get celebrating the little wins, but you still have a big loss out there that's still impending if you don't stop Zoom.
I guess the theory would be like they felt Zoom was on the no, they knew Zoom was still out there.
They did, yeah.
Even though that was fucking dope when Zoom ripped the fucking wormhole.
Exactly. Did he do that intentionally, or did he just Oh,
yeah, he was like, fuck this shit. Like
I'm out.
He bounced hard.
Okay.
But I thought that was a little maybe plot hole-ish though, only because a few episodes beforehand, Zoom was waiting for Cisco or somebody to figure out how to open up the doorway.
The way that it was explained to me by or the way I kind of understood it was that since Zoom had not only his speed but Barry's speed on top of that as well, that he was able to rupture the shift the line in between each universe.
Right.
But like when that happened and he punched like a rift in between both worlds, I kind of thought it was unintentional because I thought he was just kind of like in a frenzy and he was just swinging about. And then he just, did it as fast as he can, because it kind of seemed like he was surprised, like
the Zoom was surprised.
Exactly, like the wormhole opened up, and then he kind of looked at it. It's not like he just opened it and then zoomed right in. He opened it up, and then he was just like, "Whoa, okay, let me just get out of here."
Interesting. Yeah, I would have to go back and look at that. Like, I think there were some liberties that the writers sometimes were taking, and they're like, "Fuck, we kind of wrote ourselves into a hole."
Yeah, what are we gonna do here?
Zoom can do this real quick. Yeah, okay, okay. We just gave Zoom a new power because he's fast. Yeah, he got faster, I guess. He was dying, and now he's getting faster, I guess.
And it was also kind of weird because the whole plan that everyone had while keeping Barry out of the loop was like, yeah, okay, we're gonna have Cisco open up a wormhole or a portal to another world, and then we'll push Zoom in there. But I was like, can he just rip open another
right.
other thing to to get back? Like I don't know why that would really help. You know what I mean?
It's been weird. Like what I have noticed a lot about this season is even though things have been very cool, like I think one of the biggest faults for the Flash show is the fact that their plans aren't really that great most of the time.
There's a lot of holes in their plans that they can use.
There's a lot of holes in there. Every time Professor Wells picks up that gun, I think you're the one that told me this. Every time, no, it was Dante that told me this. Every time you see Professor Wells pick up that goddamn gun, that plan ain't gonna work.
Just like, what do you think that gun's gonna do? First of all,
he's used it once, and I think it was effective once, and that was actually tasering fucking Barry that one time. So it's interesting seeing this as a season overall. Wrapping this up, I think this season is good. I still think I feel season 1 had me more emotionally invested. But I think season 2 was different, but in a good way that it still keeps you invested. You're excited to see what comes next, basically. So, and I guess that's where we're going to segue into transitioning to your channel here with
things to come.
What comes next? Okay, predictions, theories, your own Q&A here. Let us know. We're gonna jump over to the SwagFoulNation channel in just a bit. So make sure you guys are subscribed there to the SwagFoulNation. I'll leave a link in the description below, and that's where we're gonna start off with part 2 here. Are you ready? Let's go.